Good afternoon. Welcome to the April 16th, 2026 Public Safety and Legal Affairs Committee. We are first up on our agenda is Sheriff Devlin receiving a presentation from some of our consultants.
Yeah, got a couple
Sheriff, you're up.
quick things here. Before that, I'm looking for approval to pay training costs of Mohawk Valley Police Academy, amount of $2,650. Is for a new hire deputy sheriff that we currently have enrolled in that school.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
A motion second, discussion. Hearing no discussion, roll call vote.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mickle.
Aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Brilliant.
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is approval to pay $2,500 through Stop DWI funding to the annual SAD run. We do this every year to support that, did sponsor that run.
Okay, motion
So moved.
second.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mickle.
Aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Brilliant.
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next is authorization to contract with Fortune for peer recovery services at the jail. We do this now on an annual basis. We're looking for a 3-year contract, which would be a total of $52,133.64. And this uses Oasis grant funding to cover the cost.
Motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, discussion.
It's already budgeted, right?
That it's through the Office of Mental Health budget and
Okay.
and through grant funding, so it's not in my budget.
And that's 3 years.
3-year contract.
Is it 52 a year or is it?
52 is the total.
Oh.
3 years. I think I have to.
I mean, it's also great.
I didn't bring it with me, but it's like 12 something years, 13 something years, but that's the total cost.
Further discussion. Roll call vote.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mickle.
Aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Brilliant. Aye. Basile.
Yes.
Motion carried.
It's all the business I have. We have our consultant come down for a presentation on classification, and I'll turn it over to him to.
Thank you, Sheriff. Mr. Reed, could you give a brief background, your background for our new members? Absolutely.
And then if you hit slideshow.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be, yeah. Here we go. Hello, everyone. My name's Bob Katia. I'm a consultant for the county. They hired me several years ago to work to take a look at the facility. We started off with the conditions of confinement, and my background includes I started in corrections in 1990. I started with the Albany County Sheriff's Department. I was in the jail, working there, worked my way up. In 2002, I worked for the New York State Commission of Correction, which is the oversight agency in the state of New York. They're in charge of every place that you can be confined. So I was in charge of the New York City region and Suffolk and Nassau County, some of the largest correctional facilities, not only in New York State, but in the country. From there, unfortunately, my wife had a medical incident. She had a stroke at a very young age. I had to leave the state after 12 years. I ran Schenectady County Sheriff's Office as a deputy superintendent. And then I went back and retired from the State Commission of Correction, went back to work for them, where I was a supervisor, and I was in charge of all the construction in the state of New York. Anytime you want to do construction, you go to the state of New York Commission of Correction, and they work with the communities and the facilities, make sure things are working with them. So I was a supervisor with 4 staff under me, and we were in charge of all the construction in the state of New York. I retired in 2021 during COVID, and I do some consulting. I currently am consulting for New York City with the SSD facilities, the secure detention for the juveniles. I do security consultant for them. I've done some legal work for several attorneys on conditions of confinement within their correctional facilities where they've unfortunately been sued. And I've looked at the cases and helped out the facilities with my knowledge of 33 years. So that's a little bit about myself. I do have a handout of this presentation, which I'll give you after because I find that people go through it and then usually don't listen. But I also put my resume in the back for people, if you have any questions or concerns. I also have my contact information in there. So today I was asked by the county to come and talk to the Public Safety Committee about classification and what are the requirements within the state of New York. So if you can click. So basically, when we start with classification, we got to know what the facility design is like. Your facility is a 100-bed facility, and it's laid out in modular design. How many here have gone through the facility and actually taken a look? Okay, great. So you know these, I don't want to talk in acronyms that you may not know. So the modular design, you have 40 beds, individual cells. Those are individual housing units. And then you have a 60-bed dorm. Dorms back 20 years ago, even 15 years ago, were halfway decent. Your facility is backwards. Dorm space is, although low cost to build, it's almost impossible in today's day to house people in them because of bail reform and things like that. But we'll get into that with this discussion. Next slide, please. So I took the facility and I made it so that we couldn't get it right down to specifics. But basically, you have individual housing. We have an outdoor rec area. We got dorm space. Then you have the sheriff's office. You also have a cap court in there, which is in your lobby. So everybody's familiar with cap court. You bring people in pre-admission. Next slide, please. So what is classification? I'm going to go through and explain to you what it is as far as the actual laws and the breakdown of what the standards are that are involved. Next slide. This is the basic reason for classification. 500C of correction law states that the chief administrative officer shall receive and safely keep anyone that is lawfully committed in the jail. What does safely keep mean? The physical plan, as well as the classification and supervision and your policies and procedures. That is safely keeping. Next slide, please. Correction law 500B. 500C sets what has to be done. 500B gets into the nuts and bolts. I'm going to show you the slides, but I'm not going to read them all. They're in the handout. I'm just going to read you some highlights because it's pages and pages and pages, but I put it up here just so you can understand how important classification is in a correctional setting. Next slide. So basically, in part, it states that all reasonable steps must be taken to ensure the safety of anyone that is in the care, custody, and control of the sheriff. Now, unfortunately, the sheriff has no way of knowing who's coming through that door. But if they are lawfully committed, he has to, or she, the sheriff, has to safely keep those people. They have to afford appropriate precautions for the personal safety and welfare of persons in custody, particularly with those who are known vulnerable or who have physical and or mental challenges. Next slide. Again, I'm not going to go through this because it just goes on and on and on. I'm just going to hit some highlights. 500B also says no female or male can be in the same housing unit. So they have to be separate. It goes on to say that anyone under the age of 18 cannot come into your jail. Without special, it gets a little deeper. Without special consent from Office of Family Children Services. Okay. You have to foster the good safety and security of the jail, and the chief administrative officer, the lieutenant, has to take into account all those things before they house an individual. Okay, next slide. Again, goes on and on and on. The chief administrative officer shall forward to the commission quarterly reports. So the commission is in, we work together, I have to say, as a prior commission person with the sheriff And the sheriff's duty is to report everything monthly or quarterly to the commission. Next slide. Again, it goes on. This is about overcrowding. If it's overcrowded, 500B allows you to transfer people out. If your facility is in not good repair, the commission can make you transfer people out. Next one. 500B sets up in all that language that I just showed you, 7013, which is the commission standards that the lieutenant and the sheriff and undersheriff have to abide by. These are mandated things that have to be done. Again, I'm not going to get into everything, but I'll give you the highlights. Classification means it's a process of assigning inmates to appropriate housing by determining their security and supervision risks based on a needs assessment and a risk assessment, not only about the charges, but about the individual that is actually in your facility. So classification has to be formal and objective. It can't be a gut feeling. Back 1990, when I started, I knew you could have everything and I could say, nah, she's a good person. Can't do that. It has to be formal and objective or you're going to get sued. Next slide. One of the main things with classification, it starts as soon as the person comes in the door. All right. You do a risk assessment as soon as they come in the door and booking. The officers are finding out who that person is and getting as much knowledge about that person. Not about the crime, not about he's guilty or not, but about the person themselves to house them. The initial housing has to be in a classification unit. That's not permanent housing. They come into your facility, you get as much as you can, you place them in a classification unit so that the officer gets a day or two to realize and see how they're adjusting to the facility. Next slide. Some definitions I want to go over because we hear them all the time and we're not really sure sometimes. Medically assisted treatment. New York State passed a law that if you're doing drugs on the outside, you come in, if it's on a barbiturate, the sheriff has to give you those not those drugs, but hook you up with medicated assisted treatment. So we're giving people drugs while in the jail. That's mandated by law. What happened was in the old days, the drugs, you would take them, the accused person would be stoned out of their mind outside. They come in and we would detox them. The drugs are so strong nowadays when they got out of jail, back then, if they started using again, they would build a tolerance and go back out. The drugs today are so strong that when they come into your facility, if you do not keep them, at least that's what the experts are saying. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just letting you know what the state says. These drugs are so strong that you can't just take them off. We can't detox them. They put them on a drug so that when they do go back out on the street, if they do use, they don't die immediately. That's what MAT is. Halt that. Thanks to some legislators who visited New York City and didn't go around the state of New York. They found some things down in New York City where they were locking people in for days and weeks. So they decided that no matter what you do inside of a jail, if I go up and I punch the sheriff in the face, I can't be locked in my cell. You've got to let me out 7 hours a day. So some of the worst, they still have to be afforded 7 hours out of their cell time a day. If you don't, because of a security risk that is so bad, they have to document the reason why they kept that person in. And every 24 hours, that has to go to the commission and explain why. Protective custody, that's a non-punitive housing. If I came in and I was on a sex charge and I'm all over the TV, I may say to the lieutenant, I don't feel comfortable anywhere. I want to be in protective custody, PC, locked in 24 hours a day by myself. HALT kicks in and says you can't do that. So I'm in PC, but I still got to get my 7 hours out a day. So now the lieutenant has to find a place in that facility to place me, to protect me, and still allow me out of my cell 7 hours a day to have no contact with anybody else. Keepaways, it's exactly what you think. Could be one of two things. I could have come, shot somebody in your family, you're in there, you got to keep away. It could also be that the sheriff or the jail administrator has information that this person is a witness to something. Therefore, they got to keep him or her away from the other person. Then we got mental health concerns, um, physical disabilities, psychological problems. We also have suicide watch. Suicide watch is a one-on-one. There's nothing else that is allowed. It's one inmate, one officer. Again, with the drugs that these guys are using, guys and girls that are coming into our facility, back in the 90s, when somebody was going downhill, they would go downhill very slowly, and you could monitor them every 15 minutes, and you would see that they're decompensating. You'd call for help. Today, they're good, they're good, they're good, they're dead. So, unfortunately, we have to do these constant observations, which is one-on-one. And due to the fact of no bail and everything else and the amount of drugs that these people are doing, a lot of people that come through that door are on a constant observation, which throws the sheriff's budget through the roof with overtime. There's nothing you can do. Next slide. Also, besides 500C, 500B, and 7013 a correction, we have to look at what's going on out there in the community as lawsuits. There's a recent lawsuit. There's actually two. I only put one up. In 2020, Sheriff Mashal, he was housing females in a different part of the jail. So different types of jail settings. So, and you guys, you only have one set of jail, right? And then you got the dorms. Some jails have pods and cells and dorms. So in this case, the females were moved to a housing unit that was single cells. The males were in a podular design, which is almost like this. We can all be together. And then during lockdown, you go to your own cell. The females sued on a federal lawsuit and they won. This case changed the way that we house people in New York. Whatever you do for one sex has to be equal and appropriate to the other sex. So if you're housing somebody, that doesn't mean you can't house females in a linear style facility. But you also have to have males in that linear facility. So keep that in mind as we continue to go through this. Next slide. So everything I just talked to you about, I'm going to break it down real easy and quick. This is what I teach correction officers throughout the state of New York. 500C says you have to admit anybody in our facility. Then you have to have two classifications minimally, males and females. That's where we break it off, males and females. 500C says no female and male can ever be in a housing unit together. Underneath that, you have to have at least two classifications, max, min, apples, oranges, close, general, whatever you decide they are, whatever the facility says, two separate, okay? Your guy that came in on a murder, premeditated, to the guy that's got 20 petty larcenies. They probably shouldn't be together. One is very aggressive. One is, petty larceny. Then we get into all these other special risk groups that we got to think about. So you got two classifications. So now we got to think about mental health, MAT, keepaways, sex crimes, predators, protective custody. Got to have a place to keep all these people. Once you identify it, you're legally responsible to keep them safe. So think about your layout. Next slide. Basic overview of classification. They come in, you do an initial screening, you put them in classification housing, you get as much information of that person as you can. You compile the required information, you make permanent housing decision. You tell the detainee what they're doing, why they're classified and how they can move their classification. You notify them, and then it starts all over again. The more information you get, person goes back to court, goes from being a great guy to being sentenced to change the personality immediately. Maybe it creates a one-on-one. The person just got 20 to life, or just got off the phone and found out his wife is going to divorce him, or vice versa. The lieutenant gets that information. That whole classification process doesn't stop. It just keeps going and going and going. Next slide. So let's talk about, I think at this point, I'm going to request to go into executive session for reasons of security concerns.
Okay, so I would like someone to motion that we go into executive session for,
Safety and security concerns.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So matters, A, which may imperil the public safety if disclosed. And as a precaution, the medical, financial, credit, and employment history of a particular person, corporation, and matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, motion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Opposed? We are now going into executive session,
I have to
Mr.
shut this all the way down.
That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Gibbs, All right, welcome back to the regular session of Public Safety and Legal Affairs. Could I have a motion to enter back into regular session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now back in regular session. Next up on the agenda is Mr. O'Brien. Good evening, sir.
How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
A bunch of purchase requests. I apologize. Requesting permission to move forward with a firewall upgrade as proposed by the IT department. The vendor plus an Omnia contract in an amount not to exceed 34,678.51 out of our next gen 911 grant.
Motion,
Second.
discussion? Fire, I'm thinking it's strong.
Yeah.
Okay, that's under covered by grant.
Yep.
All right, roll call vote.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Mickle,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brilliant,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Requesting authorization to award the Butternuts Tower Foundation and Tower Erection to the low bidder Shoemaker Construction in an amount not to exceed $126,050 out of our SICG grant line.
So moved. Second,
Second.
that motion second discussion. This has gone through purchasing and all that good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Hearing no further discussion?
How soon will
Oh.
they be starting that?
Right away.
Hearing no further discussion, roll call vote.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mickle,
Aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Brilliant,
Yes.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Requesting authorization to move forward with our annual Motive Dash Camera Pro plan. It's for the subscription and support for the dash cams in the ambulances in an amount not to exceed $9,240 annually for 3 years. Funding will come out of our EMS contracts line.
Motion,
So moved. Second.
a motion second discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mickle.
Aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Brilliant,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion- I'm sorry, motion carried.
Okay, requesting permission to pay for 4 new tough books for the EMS department in an amount not to exceed $16,771.12. Funding will come out of the EMS equipment line.
Motion,
So moved.
second,
Second.
motion second discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mickle.
Aye.
Powers. Brilliant,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Last one. Requesting permission to purchase AvTech radio console upgrades in an amount not to exceed $62,987.10 off New York State contract. Funding will come out of our PSAT grant line.
Motion,
So moved.
second. Sorry. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mickle.
Aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Brilliant,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion,
Thank you. And the last thing I had, I think I shared with you folks in your packets, our fee schedule for EMS.
everybody have that?
So the one we wanted to talk about is treat no transport. Just towards the bottom, in the amount of $623. Specifically, what we wanted to talk about was lift assist, where somebody has fallen, they're uninjured, and all we do is go in, pick them up, make sure they're uninjured, and they stay home and we go on our way.
Right.
Those folks are getting a bill for $623 from us for those services.
Okay.
Most go unpaid.
Yep.
Insurance is not going to pay for those.
Oh,
There are some folks who are making an effort to pay those.
Okay.
But we did have an elderly gentleman last week who called us about his bill. And he said to us, if I had known I was going to get that bill from you folks, I wouldn't have called. Which
We don't want that.
scares me. I don't want to discourage people from calling for help when they need it. So specific to lift assist, our business office manager is recommending that we revise that figure to 150.
And how many of those calls do you think you get percentage wise?
About 30 calls last year.
Total. So less than 10 a month. I think that's fair.
Yeah, especially if people are more likely to pay it. If someone's
Yeah.
likely to pay it, it means we'll have more revenue than it not
We
being
don't-
paid at all.
We don't want to kill.
No, well, that too, but like, yeah.
I'm all right with that. You want to do a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
So we're going to revise it to 150.
Yep.
Further discussion?
There's no other classification that you go under.
Not yet. That's the only one that's really come to our attention, but we're going to keep an eye on those TNTs. And if we see any issues going forward, we'll come back and let you folks.
TNT for the non-EMS folks. What does that stand for?
Treat no transport.
Tree, oh, okay,
Yep.
it's that's, all right,
Yep.
okay. I thought we were talking about some like different like billing situation, okay.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, we'll call the please.
Wilbur. Nickel.
Aye.
Powers. Burley.
Aye.
Brazil.
Yes.
Any questions for Mr. O'Brien? That carried. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Me next.
Mr. Jones, you're up.
Me today.
Good. How are you?
Not bad. Couple of items. Just a monthly update, as I promised before, relative to the county comprehensive EMS plan that's required by the governor's office. As I stated previously, the chapter amendments were passed on Wednesday, March the 4th. We're still awaiting guidance at this point, either from the governor or regional EMS council. The good news is that they changed the original request of it had to be done by this calendar year to it will have to be done a year from. So we actually have a year to work with it. That's very good news. I did reach out to one of the consultants that we've used on several of our emergency preparedness plans. We actually used to work for the State Emergency Management Office to discuss their potential involvement, how they could, assist us with the creation and implementation of this plan. As soon as I have the guidance, he'll be able to provide us a monetary figure to move forward. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. Number 2, follow up, as I was requested to bring forward from February Public Safety, requesting an increased annual stipend for each of the 4 deputy fire coordinator positions, paid out of A3641510020. Currently, they're getting paid $1,691 per year. I would like to increase that at least this year to a total of $5,000 per deputy. That would be a total increase of $13,236 to that specific line item. We were told last month that we could bring it forward this month, that the administrator would have an idea of where that money was coming from.
Yeah, so I spoke to Steve this morning about it. He would like for this week budget process to be put into next year's budget. If it were to be approved, it would have to come out of contingency. Like last year, we went through the entire contingent account. There's going to be 730 payments coming up later in the year. So his thought is to wait and do it through the budget process for 27. If it were to go forward, it would have to come out of contingent.
And the total amount we're talking about contingent is really
$13,236.
Is that
I'm
above what
confused.
they pay now or?
Correct. So currently, right now, they're getting paid each $1,691, and that has been that same amount since as long as we can find documentation to support that. And again, I stated before, I'm not trying to be difficult about this, but asking them to do the work that we do, especially in our absence. It's not just the hours that you see on paper. As Damon pointed out, as we were walking in today, we responded to a fire scene just the other day in Edmiston. We spent over 5 hours there. We spent an additional 2 hours this morning, but then you have to go through and process everything that we've reviewed at the fire scene, come up with a written report. So you're talking on average, maybe 20 hours per fire. And that's just a general average. And that's if everything goes smoothly. It's a lot to ask of them for what they've got paid.
You illustrated a budget line it's coming from though.
I did, and I did ask just so I'm
confused why we're
transparent.
talking about it's coming from contingency then.
Well,
Victor.
that's how it would be paid out of.
Okay.
But we'd have to move money to that.
Okay.
I did ask for it during budget season for this year, and that was one of the items that didn't quite make the cutoff. So I'm just afraid of the message that I'm sending these personnel that are assisting us moving forward by making it wait yet again.
And to possibly be out again at budget.
I mean, at some point, something's going to have to be cut. I mean, we already had to reduce our budget this year to do more. I understand the financial concerns, but to be asked to do more with less is just not reasonable for
How
this
many hours
office.
they put in, 100 hours a year?
Well, it depends on the person.
What was your question, Jim? I couldn't really tell. Oh.
But just because, we did go through at one point and figure out the hours on paper. That's the hours that we've documented that we were at a scene.
Yeah.
Again, the fire that Victor and I went to on Wednesday. Yeah, we may have 7 hours in it right now. By the time the report's done, considering the fire, it's probably gonna have another 10 to 12 hours in it. So we don't track every single minute that they put in. They have other meetings that they go to, trainings they go to. So I mean, that's kind of an unfair judgment of just what is written on paper in our office for hours.
I'm pretty sure I remember you told me it was $100 or $16 an hour, changing it to, so that was basically $16 an hour to $50.
And I'm not challenging your thought process there, but I am in a sense, because I'm wondering how are you coming up with that figure?
From the figures you gave me last time, they're written on a piece of paper.
But but again, to Damon's point and what I just said before he spoke too, is that's just at the actual incident itself.
We can only process what you're telling us. If you give us those numbers, that's the numbers that we're gonna process. And I'm not against doing something for them.
Expand more on that, but even I said this the last couple of meetings, $5,000 is not enough for them.
It was 13, how much?
$13,236. That would be an increase to that line.
For them.
Yeah.
So 13 times 4
Yeah.
or 13 total?
13 total.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
So look. First of all, we should have a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Okay. So what if we went halfway for the beginning of the year? For the year, okay? That would be 7,000 and change. You'll go halfway, you gotta run this through admin anyway. Go halfway, and then at the end of the year, you can bring it up again if we find that there's still money in contingency and ask to go retroactive for the year. But at least it would give them something.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. I think we have to do something.
I agree, we have to do something. I agree with that.
Because without Damon and I, they are in our absence and we can't
Oh, I get
always,
that.
I mean, we can't always
And
guarantee
I'm
that
right on board.
the two of us are gonna be available right then and there. And there's several times, unfortunately, where
All right, so it
we
sounds
have to
like
be
I've
in
got
multiple
committee
different
back.
locations.
So what I'm gonna ask you to do, let's go halfway,
Okay,
to at least get them that. We gotta get this through admin.
okay,
And then at the end of the year, you're gonna say, come back to us in October. That's fire prevention month. Back to us in October. We revisit, let's see where we are financially as a whole. And see if we can't make it whole to the 5,000. Get that in the budget next year.
Okay.
Whatever we can.
sounds good.
Okay,
And the motion at this time then will include the approval to transfer from contingent into Victor's line.
right, so give me a half figure of that, it was 13,000 what?
236.
So, do I have to amend my motion to $6,618?
Yes. Please.
Second.
Okay. Right, motion second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Mickle,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brilliant, aye, Basile.
Yes.
So Carrie, please
Thank you.
bring it to Edmund,
Not a problem.
and then please bring it back to us in like October.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. All right, final item I have today. This is a follow-up on December and February requests regarding the NICEAG funds that were allocated specifically to emergency services for emergency shelter equipment. The first will be a request, budget transfer from fund balance to A3641 412890 or other general department income in the amount of $3,014.
Motion.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. How much was the total on that?
$3,014.
You really don't even need that.
Well, that's what we thought, but because it's coming out of the general fund, correct?
Anything that comes out of fund balance, yeah, has to get committee approval.
Got it. Roll call vote.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Mickle,
Aye.
Powers, Brilliant,
Yes.
Basile.
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Motion carried.
Don't think the it's kind of dependent on getting this fund balance. Well, I think it makes sense to get the vote and have both of them go through the full process.
Resolution or no?
Um,
Just committee.
we'll do the resolution on both the budget mod and the transfer.
Okay, sounds good. All right, second part of that would be budget modification from A3641 412890 other general department income to A3641 520000. That's our equipment fund in the amount of $3,014.
Motion.
So,
Second.
Motion second discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Mickle,
Aye.
Powers,
aye.
Brilliant,
Yes.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I think that's all I have unless you folks have something for us.
Anybody have anything for Mr. West? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful.
Your name on the list.
Yes. We still have a burn ban until May the 14th, so if you can remind your constituents, we appreciate that. Starting to get a little bit dry out. Fire conditions are certainly favorable. Yeah.
So it's gonna look like.
I keep looking at my.
It'll come out.
Mine is really short.
That's good.
Yeah, Monday, as soon as they get in Monday.
Oh, good for you.
Thank you.
Good.
Yes, ma'am, you're up.
Thank you.
Public Defender's Office.
Yes. So the first item, I just keep it on, the agenda, update on revenues. We have our estimates done for the fourth quarter of last year. We're estimating approximately 400,000 to be reimbursed, in grants. We recently got 2 DCJS block grants. These we've had for the last couple of years. One is called Aid to Defense for Discovery and one is called Aid to Defense Supplemental. They're $100,000 each. That's an increase of like, I think they were like 89,000 for the last couple of years. Now they're both at 100,000. These grants are how we fund 2 positions in our office, the discovery specialist and then the paralegal for the criminal court side of things. Then I just keep on the agenda what we're using our credit card for, and all of these expenses are 100% reimbursed by ILS. And then the just last item, we're still working on, getting this assigned counsel program up and running. This is the most recent draft of the MOU. The only thing really we need to nail down are the financial parts of this, basically what we're billing Delaware County during the MOU. So we just want to meet with ILS one more time, make sure that that's all accurate and correct. But I just wanted to give you it. It's the most recent. And then the lease with 189, we're just still waiting for one part of a quote from the contractor because we want to put it all into the lease so we don't have to have multiple contracts. And they're very nice to work with, but it's just taking time. So
Okay,
that's
so once that contract, well, you have to wait for us to approve it. But at what point do you think you can start putting that like together?
really, yeah, just we need to get that lease approved, then we can have the physical space. So it's as long as, like, if that quote came in, we could get it started really as quickly as the board wants to get it started.
Okay.
We really want to get this MOU in place too, because if we're paying for that, we want to make sure we're bringing money in from Delaware County, your share of it. Understand, with some recent discussions with ILS, Delaware County is actually going to be paying for the rent cost with local dollars on their side. So that's just new information. We want to make sure that's factored in correctly in the MOU as well.
And Mr. Ahmedi's on board with,
I haven't talked to him recently, but we've been, generally collaborating through this process. So I should probably reach out to him again.
Something lined up to run that office?
Not yet, we posted. I'll be bringing back a proposal to create fund and fill the coordinator position. So originally we had been thinking about 3 positions. I don't have I don't have it all ironed out with personnel, like the whole job description and everything.
Okay.
We had put that on pause. And then we just went forward with the managing attorney and the paralegal.
no, we approved that. You know, we did.
All right, I'll look back. Then,
Did we not approve that?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah, we did. And it went through admin, I know it did. I'm almost 99% sure it went through the board.
you mean a while back, or
In the last month or two.
I have an email into
Carol
Carol.
would know.
Okay, well, I'll check with Carol.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that went through.
I want her to create an info form.
Okay,
So I'll,
usually I have to sign that.
yeah,
Yeah, I would have a record of it if it did go through. I'm not certain, but I could easily check. for it.
Yeah, please check on that, because I think that went through.
I know we talked about it.
No, I think we voted on that.
Okay. Right.
That's why it kind of gets a little slow, but I think, we voted.
Well, then it should be easier for me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything for? All right,
Thank you.
anyone have anything else?
Moved. No, second.
Motion and second, all in favor, right?
Aye.
Opposed?
Wonderful.